A USA Today opinion piece from Warren Farrell, controversial figure, opinion contributor. Boy crisis threatens America's future with economic health and suicide risks. Now, you may be saying, Tim, why is Warren Farrell controversial? One of the things I hate more than anything is how everyone is controversial, right? Dr. Phil did an interview with Ben Shapiro, and he called him controversial. And he pointed this out. He's like, I have to call you that because you are. Why is, Warren Farrell controversial? My understanding is, I don't know a whole lot about the guy, but he used to be a feminist back in the day. And now he's like, I don't know if you can call him a men's rights activist, but he's very much concerned about the crisis that boys are going through. And I gotta say, it's really interesting. This story from USA Today came out. I did a couple stories last week about how young men are not hooking up anymore, but young women, so young people in general are having much less sex, but young men more so, which means young women are still finding partners, probably older guys. And the point of that was not to talk about, sex, but to talk about depression, how men are falling out of the workforce, they're kind of just leaving society. And I thought it was interesting that we had this story pop up. So, well, again, I'm not someone to typically read something like Warren Farrell because I don't know a lot about him. I thought we should go through this and talk about some key issues. And we'll start with the top. In an astonishing disclosure about the two greatest dangers to the future of America's economy, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell revealed on CBS's 60 Minutes last month the peril posed by young males not looking for work, being addicted to drugs, and being unprepared for the transition to technology. Powell posits that this economic problem is also a national security problem. He implies that we ignore the crisis at our own peril, yet his warning is ignored. In my half-century of research on boys and men, I have discovered that there is, in fact, a boy crisis, that it is a global crisis, and that it is particularly egregious in the U.S. The crisis is more than economic. It is multifaceted, with each facet magnifying the others. It is a crisis of education worldwide. 60% of the students who achieve less than the baseline level of proficiency in any of the three PISA core subjects are boys. Even boys' IQs are dropping. It is a crisis of mental health. Boys' suicide rate goes from only slightly more than girls before age 14 to 3 times that of girls between 15 and 19 to 4.5 times of that of girls between 20 and 24. Mass shooters, prisoners, and ISIS recruits are 95% male. Can we say male and female? It's really annoying to keep saying boy. Like, I'm confused. Are we talking about children or are we talking about males and females in general? Now, you want to talk about education. Sargon of Akkad did an event last year, which is really interesting because he was kind of joking when he said that men have become, I don't care what you're breaking through. He said men have become the underprivileged minority in colleges. Therefore, the schools should be making social justice programs to benefit men. But, they aren't. And why not? But while Sargon was kind of joking about it to make a point that, feminism has kind of already reached its point, in universities at least, he's kind of right. It's true. Young men are not graduating. They're not going to school. They're dropping out. They're not finding work. So yeah, maybe it is. If you are in favor of social justice, maybe it's time to recognize that young millennial men are underprivileged. But as most of us know, it's not really about social justice. It's about tribal politics. So no, I really don't think, as Warren Farrell notes, his warning is ignored. Yes, no one's going to come out and do anything for young men. I'm sorry, just not going to happen. It is a crisis of physical health. Boys, I'm gonna stop saying boys. It's such a weird phrasing, and girls too. It's male and female. Male sperm counts are dropping. American men's life expectancy has decreased 0.2 of a year, even as American women's has remained the same. Males are dying earlier in 14 out of 15 of the leading causes of death. It is a crisis of shame. Males feeling their masculinity is toxic, that their future is female, that dads are but bumbling fools or deadbeats. And this is an issue of media. And, I think it's fair to point out there's been a lot of, feminism made really, really great points in like what it actually stood for. The actual idea of feminism, equality between the sexes, makes total sense. But what we have today is not feminism. It's intersectionality. It's something totally different. So when you want to talk about, in my opinion, video games, where the female characters were wearing nothing, right? So I've been playing video games my whole life, and you have these games where the male character puts on armor, and it's like a big armor suit. The woman puts on armor, and it's like a bikini. Now, me playing many of these games, I thought that was silly. I'm like, come on, man. Like, I get it. They're trying to market to dudes, so they want scantily clad women. But if you want to look at these problems about men being told their masculinity is toxic, and you want to look at the issues that feminism was actually addressing, they're like real feminism, then you can talk about media portrayals of women when they're constantly trying to only attract one demographic. This is a problem that goes both ways. And here's what I think we need to talk about. You can make a movie with a great female lead, Wonder Woman, without deriding men. I think Wonder Woman is a great feat in true social justice in that it wasn't really. It was just a movie with a strong female lead, excellent action sequences, and great characters all around. When you make content that derides women or makes them feel lesser or like not represented in any way, then they're going to be marginalized. Now what's happening is they're doing the same thing to men. And this is the problem I have. Look, I get it. If you want to make a video game that can be marketed to everybody, you don't need to insult dudes at the same time to get your point across. You just need a game with a good female character, end of story. And so, and I shouldn't say game, I should say movie. So this is why you can see real social justice, Wonder Woman, universally praised and accepted. Bad social justice, Captain Marvel, many people were upset and insulted by it. Because when these feminists today come out and claim your video games are sexist, they're not coming and fixing the problem, making a great, piece of content like Wonder Woman. They're coming and trying to make something that insults and derides men, and then they claim, oh, but men are fine, who cares? No, it's a problem. If dudes grow up thinking that they're toxic and they can't be who they are, they're going to be depressed, they're not going to work, they're going to drop out of school. This is bad for literally everyone. It is not good. You're going to get a bunch of feminists who are, like, I don't even want to call them feminists, regressive leftists who are laughing because they want catharsis. They want an emotional release. They want to see a symbol of what they feel holds them back taken down a peg or two. And this is what you get. Movies like Ghostbusters, where the dudes are all idiots. Movies like Captain Marvel, where it's marketed strictly as like a big feminist film and it's all about her and she's just strong for no reason with no character arc or character development. And then you have these depictions of dudes that are considered lesser. It's not how you do it. It just makes everything worse. It's literally the same problem. He goes on to say, it is a crisis of economic health. The economy is making a transition from muscle to mental, from muscle to microchip. As with the 1.7 million truck drivers predicted to be largely replaced by self-driving trucks, with the U.S. neglecting vocational education, boys with no college education have a 20% chance of being unemployed, about 5 times the national average. Boys are falling behind without dads. Boys are falling behind girls in the 63 largest developed nations. We want equality, right? Do you agree with equality? Do you believe in equity, true fairness? Well, this is not. This is a problem. He says, I discover that the crisis resides where dads do not reside. For example, the American Psychological Association found that father absence predicts the profile of both the bully and the bullied, poor social skills, and the bully's poor grades and self-esteem. Every 1% increase in fatherlessness in a neighborhood predicts a 3% increase in adolescent violence. It starts early. Prior to 6 months of age, the less interaction a boy has with his dad, the lower his mental competence. He says, the solution is involved fathers. Absolutely. There's a straightforward solution to dad deprivation. It is dad involvement. Conservatives have long supported dad involvement, and both Betty Friedan and Gloria Steinem have said that mothers would not be equal at work until dads were equal in the home. Plus, it addresses numerous problems. First, dad-deprived girls experience most of the problems faced by boys, albeit less intensely. Second, an involved dad predicts a son much more likely to be employed, so aspiring moms don't have to search for a dad in unemployment lines. Third, the fewer boys defining their purpose as future warriors by being disposable in war, and fewer defining masculinity as being a sole breadwinner, millions of young men are experiencing a purpose void. Inspiring young men to become father warriors can fulfill that purpose void, but this also involves inspiring women to value father warriors. Terry Crews generated controversy when he said, there is something a father gives you a mother can't. Outrage. People said they had same-sex families, they had 2 moms. That's not true. He then went on to say there are some things that a mother gives you that a father can't. And again, outrage. He refused to apologize, and I was like, good, don't. Like, I'm not saying he's right to believe this. I'm just saying don't apologize. Stand up for what you believe in, and then, he apologized. So the reality is, we know the crisis is here. The current iteration of the culture war is not a solution to any of these problems. It's not. Both sides will not produce the appropriate outcome, unfortunately, because you need a little bit of social justice, but not too much. And the regressive left wants way too much. And the anti-social justice warriors have too many. Not all of them. I think they're actually, like anti-CW people tend to be actually rather liberal, but you still have people who outright reject a lot of the attempts at any kind of social justice. You only really have, not necessarily two extremes, but you just haven't found the happy medium yet. So, on by saying this, and this has been my position always, social justice is a really good thing. Nobody would disagree. Nobody would. Well, of course, some people would. I'm being hyperbolic, but on Tucker Carlson, he had Andrew Doyle on, the guy who made the Twitter account Titania McGrath, which is a fake SJW, and they both agreed that real social justice, fighting bigotry, homophobia, these are great things. But what we're seeing is not social justice. It's regressive behavior. It's authoritarianism. So I'll leave it there. We want to find the happy medium where we can have true social justice, everyone can feel good, and not be mean to each other, but we're just not getting it. So ultimately, what I think will end up happening is, because of the idea that we need to be good to other people and the perception that white men are on top, it's going to result in a serious crisis for young men, and it's not going to get better. But stick around. I got one more video coming up in a few minutes, and I will see you then.